Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Annalisa and this is the 11th day of the 12 days of Christmas. I'm pretty sure is when I'm going to post this. This is a reading and Christmas celebrations vlog taking place between the 26th of December and the 1st of January. My TBR for this week was in the last vlog. It's basically a bunch of graphic novels, a lot of which I found because of a video by Realm of Comics. So what I'm currently reading is Belle of the Ball, which is a sapphic story about these three ladies. This jock is dating this cheerleader, and this nerd was childhood friends with the jock and is now tutoring the jock, and also has a crush on the cheerleader, while the jock is forming a crush on the nerd. It's very complicated and it's all in shades of pink inside as well as the cover, and I really like pink, so I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Hello there, it's Wednesday and me and my mom went for a bike and scooter ride today, and I wore this, which is my biggest coat. It's a bit stiff and quite heavy, but it's very thick, and it was appropriate for, along with three other layers, for the 40-degree zoom in that we did, and I caught an ice Vulpix in Pokemon Go, and it was very cute. Vulpixes are some of my favorite Pokemon for their cuteness. My other favorite is the Deerling. We had a good time and got some fresh air, and I did something other than sit for half an hour. Hello there, it's New Year's Eve and I haven't been filming for this vlog basically because I've been anxious and depressed. I finished Belle of the Ball by Marie Costa. It was very good. I feel like I described the plot of being a love triangle between these three. I've been reading several graphic novels lately that have been pink scale, blue scale, gray scale, and I'm really enjoying all of them. I do like a limited palette, while I also enjoy an unlimited palette that is like splashes of bright colors. So I like both those styles. Yeah, I really enjoyed how the love triangle was handled. Sometimes I don't like those and they feel cheaty or just annoying, where people's heartstrings are getting tugged all over the place, but that really wasn't the case in this one. I think it was well handled, so I gave it 5 stars. Also, there's a lot of geeky stuff and like a whole Ren Fair scene, which is really cool. Then we have Beowulf, which is about a bunch of kids who run their own kingdom and have a tree house that is all kids only and all about things that young people like. Specifically, 1 to 6-year-olds is pretty much the max. So quite young kids. And there's this adult who gets annoyed by all the noise they're making. And he comes up to the treehouse, and his name is Grindel, and he pokes them on the forehead, and that turns them into adults who don't like to have fun anymore. And so it's all about that, told in the style of Beowulf, with a lot of like people telling grand stories of heroes who fought monsters from under the sea and things. And let me read out to you an excerpt from the early on in the story. So the crown was reclaimed by Ada, cleaned and passed to Kai, who, feeling time's touch, took the treasure to Roger. Each kid lord was wise, each a worthy crown wearer, each fortunate in fighting, each feeding their flocks on fiberless fare. And the whole thing is told in that way with a lot of alliteration and a lot of mid-sentence pauses, and it talks in the author's note about how that was achieved and how it's based on how Beowulf is phrased, and I really enjoyed that. I think I would have extra enjoyed it as a kid, and it makes the story feel very grand, and it's all in grayscale like so, and has this lovely color that is mostly in browns and golds, but has some little pops of turquoise and green, and is just beautifully designed. So I gave this one 5 stars as well. I really enjoyed the hero, who is Beowulf. So I'm sitting here reading a PDF of The State and Revolution by Lenin. Why am I reading that? Because I am working on joining the Party for Socialism and Liberation, my local chapter, because they're the only people in my area who are doing Palestine protests. And from everything I've seen, they're my kind of people, and I'd like to get more connected with my in-person community who are that kind of people. And they want me to read this book, so I'm reading a PDF of it that they have, and it's a lot less big wordy, over intellectual than the last thing I read by Lenin. It's pretty, I'm able to understand it pretty well. But as I'm sitting here reading it, my cat comes and jumps on my lap, and her eye, one of them, has been steadily oozing more and more goop over the last 4 days. The first day was just a tiny bit. I was like, oh, that's normal. Second day, I was like, that's a little bit more than normal. Third day, it was odd that it had been going on so much. And now her eye is closed most of the time. She prefers to keep it closed, and has more and more goop coming out of it. So I googled whether this is something that needs to go to the vet or if we should wait. And apparently if it is green or yellow goop, it's probably bacterial infection, which could be treated with antibiotics. If it's clear goop, which it is, it's probably viral and will only have to go away by itself. If her eye was cloudy, or if there were like other symptoms, there's various other things it could be that would need to go to the vet immediately, but just the goop, which is what it seems to be something we should let alone for a while. And if it continues for over 2 weeks, then we need to take her to the vet. But that's what it sounds like, according to WebMD. I didn't realize they had a veterinary section, but they do. Yeah, I also checked her eye to make sure there wasn't any visible large debris, because sometimes I had to pull like pieces of grass or other plants out of animals' eyes because it won't get out by itself. But there's nothing visible to remove, so hopefully it'll all clear up in a few days, and my poor little baby, it's a little dainty princess, of course, will be okay. Hey, it's Editing Annalisa. I just wanted to pop in to tell you that as I'm editing this, Arwen's eye is completely recovered. It's not oozing, it's wide open, she's fine. So it's New Year's Day. I thought about staying up for the festivities on the TV, but I've been a bit sad. My mum left yesterday for Spokane by herself this time because I have to stay home and visit a dog during the day. And I kept thinking she was at work because she does 12-hour shifts and comes home at about 8 o'clock. And then I realized last night she wasn't coming home because she's not at work. She's out of town, and it made me a bit sad. So I went to bed at about 9:10. And then I remembered that the festivities would be happening while I was laying in bed not asleep at 10:30. And decided I didn't want to get out of bed. And I heard ever since sundown, people had been doing the occasional firework in our area. We live in the county. It's not legal, but they do it. It really kicked off between 11:30 and 12:30. And our neighbor was probably doing his guns that he does on New Year's and July 4th. So I had at least one somewhat startleable cat in my room with me, and one totally asleep cat. I wasn't kept awake by that. I was just kept awake by my usual nonsense. And I wanted to go back to sleep this morning when I woke up, but I realized that I hadn't done my subtitles yesterday. And fortunately, I set my video, which is the end of the year tag, to come out at noon instead of at 9. So I'll have time to do the subtitles this morning. So that's what I'm working on while watching yet another episode of Call the Midwife. Hi there, it's later on New Year's Day. I finished The State and Revolution. I switched to audiobook format and then listened to it on the drive from here to the dog I'm taking care of's house, which is like a 25-minute drive each way. So I got almost an hour of it done that way. and I'm listening to it at 2 times speed. It's a 4-hour audiobook, so then I just listened for an hour more once I got home and played Tears of the Kingdom, and now I'm finished. It got a bit repetitive. It felt like Lennon was addressing the same 4 or 5 arguments several times over 128 pages. There are some words that I have to ask my person I'm coordinating with to join the PSL for, like, what's an opportunist and what's a Philistine. I think Philistine might mean uninvolved people, and it might just be an insult, but it might also have been a specific group of people who had a specific opinion on socialism, communism, capitalism, and such. It also but it did a really good job of explaining the difference between some varieties of anarchists and Marxists, and it did a fairly good job of explaining what revolution might look like and what comes after a revolution might look like. And how the end goal is to have a stateless society. The end goal of Marxism. Yeah, that was interesting, very dense, but much easier via audiobook. It was written in like 1918 or so. And it also gave me a few things to look up, like the Revolution of 1848, I think was in Germany, but I don't think he actually said which country it was in because everybody just knew what he was talking about. And he also talked about the Paris Commune of 1871. So now I'm gonna look up what the heck that was. But yeah, if you want to know about like how different countries have experienced socialism versus Marxism versus whatever, there's a really good video that I was referred to by the PSL that makes a chart, a really helpful chart. So if you're interested in that, like where does China fall on the chart? Where does Cuba fall on the chart? Where do countries like Norway and Sweden and places where they have good healthcare fall on the chart? That was really helpful to me as well. So links below, and this might be posted on Epiphany or it might not. Epiphany is the day where some Christians celebrate the arrival of the wise men to see baby Jesus / 2-year-old Jesus. Some people consider 2-year-olds to be babies. It kind of depends on how big they are. Some 2-year-olds are quite large. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!